Good morning, good evening, good day to you guys. It is Hacking Self Storage. I'm your host, Dean Booty, and it is Friday. What we like to try and do here is call it 5-Minute Fridays, although I have never actually done it in 5 minutes, but hopefully today is the day. So Paul Whitaker actually got in contact with me and asked me to do a short presentation about my time in self-storage, what I've learned, and basically the mistakes along the way. Where have I cocked up? And it got me thinking, I've cocked up a lot. I have messed up a lot. I have made every single mistake that you can possibly make in self-storage. I've got the T-shirt. I've got the wombs. It's cost me money. And so what I want to do on this episode is quickly tell you about the 4 mistakes. Put my hand up for 5 then. 4 mistakes that probably the biggest mistakes I have made. So number 1 is I wasn't patient enough. I need to show more patience. And what do I mean by that? So when I first opened up a self-storage in 2012 in Beverly, I knew it was a fantastic industry and I wanted to open up my second facility. However, I couldn't find the right site for love nor money. Back then, I didn't have the data I have now. I didn't have the spreadsheets. And so now if I had £10 million, I could without doubt spend £10 million on finding locations. But back then, you don't know what you don't know. And so I couldn't find the location. I didn't really know what I was looking for. And so I was impatient. And so what I did instead, because I could just see that my storage facility only had 89 units. So there's only a certain level that I could earn. And me being the ambitious, I suppose, want to earn more money that I couldn't sit on my hands because I was at the ceiling. I wanted to break through that ceiling. I wanted to smash through that ceiling. And I'd been doing a lot of reading from books and stuff like you do. And I realized that coffee had a fantastic markup, and there was a company called Nespresso that was disrupting the coffee industry because they had pods instead of grains or beans. And so I got in touch with Nespresso, and I thought Beverly would be a fantastic location for a coffee shop. And it all grew out of the frustration of not being able to open another self-storage facility. So I thought, I know, let's open a coffee shop. No experience in it. But not just a coffee shop. When the idea happened, somebody said to me, well, you can do liqueur coffees. And I was like, ooh, liqueur coffees. So I tried to get a license, got a license. And I realized, well, I've got a license, so why don't I serve food as well? And then so therefore it's going to be a restaurant. And all of a sudden, this little simple coffee shop idea turned into a big restaurant, not a big restaurant, but a restaurant called Lazo. And it all stemmed and came from my frustration because I was impatient. And what I've learned along the process now is that storage will never get you rich quick, but it will always get you rich long term. And life is long. Let me just say it again. Life is long. You have to play for the long game. You can't play to win by halftime. You have to play to win full time. And what I mean by that is it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Do the correct things every single day, and I promise you, you will be where you want to be. But I just was impatient. And unfortunately, that impatience, it lost me a lot of money. But not only that, it lost me my mindset. If I'm really honest with you guys, and I always want to be honest with you guys, I didn't want to wake up in the morning because the debt was piling up. People were ringing me. People every single day. It was like I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I was putting off that account to pay that account. And in the morning, when my alarm went off, I hated it. I remember the feeling. I just wanted to put my covers on my head because that was the only place in the world that I felt safe, where nobody could get me, nobody could ask me for money, nobody could hurt me, and it was just a horrible, horrible feeling. We did get out of it. I sold, but I lost a lot of money. I lost over £200,000 personally. But not only that, I lost my dad's 6 figures as well. And that hurt. And it was all because I was impatient. And I was going for something that I didn't need to do. I should have just stayed the line. And that was in 2015 when we opened. I think it was 2017 when we finally got out. It was the worst 18 months of my life. It impacted me so much. I had a young child, just was born, but I wasn't really there. I was always looking at the cameras on an evening, who was in, how much they're spending, how many people, how long people were waiting at the bar, how long it was taking to get served. It was just a stressful period of my life. However, there is a silver line to that, because I promise you that I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be the man I am without that failure. So you've got to failure is good. Fail as much as you can, but you've got to learn from the failure. And that's what I did. I changed who I was. I changed everything about me. And now, because of that failure, I believe that I'm on a different trajectory. If I wouldn't have had that failure, then I there's no way I'd be on the path I'm on now right now. So you've got to bear in mind that good and bad things happen to you every single day of the week. But the problem is, at the time, you don't know which is which. Something that could appear to be good is really bad, and something that appears to be bad is really good. Now, Lazo, it appeared to be on every metric, every criteria that I could possibly measure it on. It was bad. It was horrendous. But long term, it was the best education, the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I learned so much and I'm completely different. And I could go on about this forever, but there was massive, massive lessons learned for me. And from 2016, from 2016 to 2021, 5 short years, everything in my life has changed. Everything. Excuse me, frog in my throat. And so much so now I've got the house of my dreams. I've got a football pitch in the back garden. Everything has changed, all because of what looked like a bad experience. But ultimately, it was a very, very good experience for me, and I learned a lot from it. So, yeah, number one, biggest takeaway for me, lesson that I've learned so far in my career is be patient. But mind you, if I wouldn't have been patient, then I wouldn't have been where I am. So we turned a negative into a positive. But you've got to learn from my mistakes. And number one is be patient, because life is long. Number two is, it's no particular order this, find mentors. It massively accelerates your learning curve, because when I opened Beverly 24, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I thought that I was good at running the self-storage. Guess what? It turns out that I was rubbish back then at running the self-storage. And the great thing is that in a year's time, hopefully, I'll look back at myself right now and think that I'm rubbish at running the self-storage right now. Or not rubbish, but I can improve next year. And so I want to continuously improve. So the way you do that, it accelerates your learning curve, and you learn lessons from mistakes of others. So find mentors, find somebody who is, even if it's just one run of a ladder higher than you are, or one level different than you, find mentors and learn from them, and literally listen to everything they say, and use that knowledge, because that knowledge, to get that knowledge, to get where they have learned from their mistakes. So you can capitalize on their mistakes, and making sure that you don't have to make the mistakes yourself, and you don't have the consequences that they've possibly had. So yeah, find mentors is a big one for me. Revenue management is absolutely key for self-storage. Absolutely key. I can't describe how important this is. Back in 2015, again, I went on a sales course for the first time this is no longer. This is never 5 minutes. I'm at 7 minutes already. There's nearly 8 minutes already. This is 24-hour Friday or something. I should be, and that 1 hour Friday. Anyway, so revenue management. It's so important. I went to a sales training course, and it was going around the room, SSA, first one I've ever been to, and it was going, how full are you? How full are you? How full are you? And I was like, I'm 100% full. And the guy goes, you're too cheap then. And I was expecting him to say, oh, well done, Dean. Let's all stand up and applaud Dean. Yay, Dean, you must be brilliant. Nope, absolutely wrong. It's because I was too cheap. Back in 2015, I was earning £66,000 per year my revenue was £66,000 a year from Beverly. Fast forward 5 years to now, and we are going to be hitting £150,000, nearly 3 times more, and 2.5 times more. And the only thing that's changed is my revenue management, my understanding of revenue management, my understanding that you shouldn't be full. If you're full, you're too cheap. You constantly raise your prices when you are full. And again, this is something that Ann Ballard teaches in the structure behind it as well, about like, if you're 90% full and over 90% full of a certain unit, then you increase the price. If you've got less than 3 units available at a certain rate, you increase the price. And there's a formula for this. And it's so simple. It really is so simple. So simple, it's stupidly simple. But that's what I want. I mean, I'm no rocket scientist, and we want to follow simple systems. That's all we want to do. And with revenue management, that's what we do. We follow simple procedures. We increase the prices, and then we also increase existing customers as well prices. And that for me has been a game changer. It's like I said, it's increased our turnover by £90,000, which has gone straight to the bottom line just in one facility. Imagine what you can do if you have the correct revenue management in place. It is key to any successful and thriving business in terms of self-storage. So be patient, find mentors, revenue management. And the last one is something that nearly wiped me out, is understanding cash flow and your burn rate when opening the facility. When I opened a facility, I stupidly thought that the bank, so we had a meeting with a bank. I was very, very close to a bank manager. He actually was around about my age, a personal, I've known him for years and years and years. And you could almost class him as a friend. I mean, he was there at my Lazo VIP opening for friends and family. So he was like a friend. And I expected this friend to support me all the way through because he knew this is when we was up in Stormore. It was a 30,000 square foot building and it was going to cost, I didn't know at the time, but it was to fit it out fully and the burn rate of cash, it was £1 million or just over £1 million. And guess what? Spoiler alert, I didn't have £1 million. I didn't have £1 million there to spend. So it was something that I was reliant on the bank for. And you should never, ever be reliant on one source. So after phase 1, he said, Dean, if you hit the figures in phase 1 you're predicting, no problem. We'll support you for phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 fit out. So I hit the numbers. We bettered the numbers for phase 1. And so we went there and said, hello, Mr. Bank Manager. It's coming up to phase 2. Can we borrow that money, please? And he was like, no. We want a period of sustainability, of consistent numbers. So what do you mean? We're at capacity now. We're like 85% full. We need to open up because we're going to be at 100% full. I can't sustain this because it's with that revenue, with only phase 1, I can't even pay the rent. We're losing money. What do you mean? We want 2 to 3 years, he said, of stability. I was like, he goes, no, you're expanding too fast, Dean. And he was getting pressure put on him from above as well because he was cutting back the lending. I was like, but you promised me, you told me that you would lend me the money. If I have a year or 2 of sustainability, of just staying where we are right now, then this is the amount of money we're going to lose because this is how much cash we're bringing in now. We can't bring in any more cash. We're full. And this is our overheads. And so I need to open phase 2. And he said, I'm sorry, Dean, my hands are tied. I can't do anything about it. And honestly, that for me was crippling, absolutely crippling. And it was horrible. So we had to bootstrap it. We had to borrow. We had to beg. I was going to say steal, but we didn't steal. We didn't actually beg. But I had to be resourceful. It made me be resourceful. Luckily, I had another podcast which had 60,000 downloads a month on called The Betting Guy. And I created some sort of software that helped in-play traders, people who wanted to take a position, like stocks and shares, take a position before the race and then get out of when the price come down or went up, they could get out for a profit, basically, in a nutshell. And I made a bit of software, very, very fortunately, which did very, very well. We did very, very well. And the reason I'm being coy with the numbers is because I can't remember exactly what we did in what time frame. So if I'm not certain, I don't want to make up numbers. But it was very, very well. And luckily for me, that coupled with local people who believed in me and my vision and my family, that they backed us as well. So luckily, if it weren't for that, I said to Yorkshire Bank, I said, listen, do you know what you've done here? You've literally tied a noose around my neck. And when phase 1, you've tied that noose around my neck, and I've come to you phase 2, you've kicked away the stool and you left me there to hang. We cannot sustain this business unless we get phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 done. And he's like, well, I'm sorry, Dean, my hands are tied. You should never have done that then. I said, you told me to. You said the business plan was good. You told me it was solid. You told me you was going to back me. But it's naivety. Who am I blaming? I'm blaming other people. And as soon as you start blaming other people, then that's when you need to start looking at yourself, because there's something you could have done. I can't control him. I can't control the bank. I can't control their systems, their procedures, their policies. But what I can control is me. I can control my circumstances. I can control if I get private backers or not. I can control. And so basically you don't want to be in the lap of somebody else. You need to get that control. So if you're thinking of financing a facility, you don't want to be relying, unless you've got it in writing from the bank, you don't want to be relying on one financial source. You need to be having more than one, multiples. And I've just realized I'm doing this speech on Thursday. I'm recording this on Monday, and this is supposed to be a 15-minute speech. And I've got so much more to go through for this presentation about podcasting, about my life before. Anyway, so God knows how I'm going to fit it all in a 15 to 20-minute presentation. I'm going to be like, cut, Dean, shut up. Stop talking, Dean, shut up. So then got to the end, I ain't even halfway through. So they're my 4 mistakes. Be patient. Find mentors. Revenue management is absolutely key, and understanding your cash flow and understanding your burn rate that your facility will go through, because I promise you, you will go through a massive burn rate. Now we've got an awesome spreadsheet now, but we've got it from Stora, Gavin Shields. If anybody wants that, contact either Gavin Shields or myself. I can give you that. I've had permission from Gavin to give it out to people because it's got his logo on and stuff. And so if anybody wants that, then hit me up, because it basically tells you how much burn rate you're going to go through and how much cash flow you will need for each phase of your development. And you don't know what you didn't know. I mean, looking back now, I don't know how the hell Stormore is here. It's been a tremendously enjoyable journey, but by hell did I have to get resilient and resourceful. And do you know what? I wouldn't change anything, because I didn't, unless your back's up against the wall, you don't know how you don't know what you're gonna do. You don't know how you're gonna act. And thankfully, I am actually genuine. It's one of the only times I say I'm very proud of how we reacted and how we made that the difference between what we needed to expand to number 2. And by the way, we also had help from Janice, which is part of Active Supply and Design. We had help there as well, because they was brilliant with the payment terms and etc. like that. So we had massive help, and it's all about creating relationships. And so for me, I've made a lot more mistakes on this, by the way, along the process. Like I said, I've literally made probably every single mistake you can make. But as long as you're willing to learn from mistakes, then it's not really a mistake. The only real mistake that we make is the mistake we make and we learn nothing from it. I got that from my cousin, Gavin. He always says that. And that is so, so true. So it's not a mistake unless you don't. It's not a mistake if you learn something from it. And every single mistake that I've made, I've learned something from it. So be patient. Life is long, and it's getting longer and longer and longer. People in our lifetime will be, I don't know how old you are, but certainly in my lifetime, you will be averaging 100 years. So, I mean, I'm nearly 40. That means I've got over 60 years left. Find mentors. And by the way, when you're 80, it'll be the new 60. It's like now we're 40 is the new 30. It's you. Just because you're 50 or 60 or 70 or 80, it doesn't mean you're that age. Because when I was growing up, I thought 40 was old, but I feel probably fitter, younger, healthier than I did when I'm in my 20s. So be patient, find mentors, because that can accelerate your learning curve, and it can miss out mistakes that you can make. Revenue management, oh man, that is absolutely bloody key. Make sure you keep putting your prices. Make sure you have dynamic pricing in terms of when you've got a shortage of units, you put it up, because then when units that you haven't got a shortage of, that you've got plenty of, if you're putting up the prices of everything around them, it's called a perceived discount. There's a perceived discount in that unit that you need to get rid of. So a 75 square foot might be, argument's sake, I don't even know how much we sell them for, might be 35 quid. And then 25 square foot might be £25 or something. And then you might have a 50 square foot or 28. I don't know. I'm just making examples up. It's a perceived discount. So if you're putting up prices all around you of the units that you don't have a lot of availability, then it's a perceived discount for the ones that you have the availability for. So revenue management is key. And then understanding your cash flow, because that, my friends, that was a big trip up, and it could have cost me everything. It could have cost me Stormore. It could have cost me, even though this is a brilliant, brilliant business model, is storage. I could have lost it all because I didn't understand cash flow, burn rate, and it could have tripped me up before I even started going. But now I'm well on my journey, and I've got no doubt in the next 5 years I will make mistakes. Of course I will. But you want to make mistakes, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. So you need to be making mistakes. Hopefully they're not as big as Lazo, the cash flow, the revenue money. How many thousands of pounds did I not understanding the revenue management, not going to some training like the Self Storage Association put on, not going to their training. It literally cost me tens of thousands of pounds a year, not going earlier. So anyway, hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes, and you won't have as many mistakes as I've got under my belt. But do you know what? I'm quite proud of the mistakes. I'm not proud of the mistakes, but I'm proud that we've got through the mistakes. But yeah, it's been an enjoyable journey. Holy shit, 20 minutes. Bloody hell. I've got to go to, I know this is the place. I've got to see a new facility today. This is Monday. Hopefully I can tell you more about it in the coming months of where it is. If I don't like it, then I'll be telling you earlier, because again, like Rochdale, I told you that I wasn't going to do it. And by the way, I know that people are interested in Rochdale just because we mentioned it on this podcast. So yeah, if this doesn't come off, then I will be telling you all about it in the next coming weeks. If it does come off, then you probably won't hear much about it from me until we've done the deal. All right, my friends, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. The numbers for this podcast are just going up every single week, every single month. So I appreciate you guys listening. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys rock. All right, I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.